ਦੇਸ਼ ਵਿਦੇਸ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੈਠੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪੀਟੀਸੀ ਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਿਊਯਾਰਕ ਸਟੂਡੀਓਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ। ਮੈਂ ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਹੋਸਟ ਗੁਰਮੀਤ ਸੋਢੀ ਔਰ ਅੱਜ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਅਜਿਹੇ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਜਿਸ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਕਾਫੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਹਰ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਅਗੇਂਸਟ, ਮੁਸਲਿਮ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਅਗੇਂਸਟ, ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਅਗੇਂਸਟ ਔਰ ਇਨ ਜਨਰਲ ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹੋ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਈਨੋਰਿਟੀ ਗਰੁੱਪਸ ਦੇ ਅਗੇਂਸਟ ਰੇਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਫਾਈਲਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਚ ਕਾਫੀ ਕੁਝ ਸੁਣਿਆ, ਕਾਫੀ ਕੁਝ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ। ਰੀਸੈਂਟਲੀ ਫਰਗੂਸਨ ਮਿਜ਼ੋਰੀ ਕੇਸ ਲੈ ਲਓ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਐਰਿਕ ਗਾਰਨਰ ਦਾ ਕੇਸ ਲੈ ਲਓ, ਅਕਾਈ ਗਰਲੀ ਦਾ ਲੈ ਲਓ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਮਾਈਨੋਰਿਟੀ ਗਰੁੱਪ ਸੀਗੇ। ਲਾਸਟ ਈਅਰ ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖੋ ਸੰਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਦਾ ਕੇਸ, ਡਾਕਟਰ ਪ੍ਰਭਜੋਤ ਬਤਰਾ ਦਾ ਕੇਸ ਤੇ ਨਾਲੇ ਹੀ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਬਤਰਾ ਦਾ ਕੇਸ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਪ੍ਰਭਜੋਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦਾ ਕੇਸ। when we look at all these racial cases, they're all minorities। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਸਿਮਿਲੈਰਿਟੀ ਦੇਖੋਗੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ skin color brown ਹੈ। At the same time, they all look different or speak a different language। ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਅਗਰ racial profiling case ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, it's not your typical white face that we see। And recently, ਇसी ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ incident ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਹੁਣ ਫੇਰ ਹੋਇਆ ਐਲਬਾਮਾ ਵਿੱਚ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਇੱਕ 57-year-old ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣ ਆਏ ਸੀਗੇ। ਉਸਦੇ 17 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੀ ਦੇਖਭਾਲ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ, who was premature and going through medical conditions। ਉਹ ਆਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਗ੍ਰੈਂਡਸਨ ਦੀ ਦੇਖਭਾਲ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ, but instead cops landed him in a hospital for what? Just because ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ, just because he looked different। and now what is the community doing about it? Indian community ਇਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਚ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, or what are the cops doing about it? What is the FBI doing about it? There are a lot of questions ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੋਚਣਾ ਵੀ ਪਏਗਾ, but at the same time this is the time ਜਿੱਥੇ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਪਏਗਾ what do we need to do now to stand up for our rights? So we've been bringing you continuous coverage about this, लेकिन आज ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ legal perspective ਇਸ ਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਨੇ ਆ। And I have with me today an attorney who's represented cases of all kinds, and when I say all kinds, he's an international attorney handling matters not just in US but abroad as well। ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਨੂੰ ਨੌਲੇਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਏਗੀ ਕਿ ਐਗਜ਼ੈਕਟਲੀ ਇਸ ਕੇਸ ਨੂੰ ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਓਪਨ ਅਪ ਕਰੋ ਔਰ ਦੇਖੋ what the real matter is and how it can be addressed and the way the Patel family should handle it। I'm talking about none other than Mr. Ravi Batra। Sat Sri Akal ji, how are you today?
Sat Sri Akal to you.
It's a pleasure having you here with us today। And you know what? Talking about, if you're looking at the history of all the cases just within last 24 months, you see the similarity in all of them, brown skin। Now take Suresh Bhai Patel's case for instance, right? What was it, when the caller called, ਜਦੋਂ caller ਨੇ call ਵੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀਗੀ, ਜਿਹੜਾ neighborhood ਜਿੱਥੇ ਚਿਰਾਗ ਪਟੇਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੇਟਾ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ is a white affluent neighborhood, okay? ਉੱਥੇ ਅਗਰ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅਲੱਗ ਦਿਖੇ, automatically it's a suspicious activity because he was just out for a walk,
right?
Simple walk which a normal human being does, and she called and said there's a suspicious activity। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਸੀਂ video ਵੀ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ, and we will be running that video continuously। If you take a look at it, he's just walking।
Sure।
And that's all it is। So first when I'm going to come and talk about that first, ਕਿ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਗਰ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ perception ਹੈਗਾ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦਾ, how they take a look at these things। What do you think about that?
Well, you've touched a raw nerve of Americana, of America and American culture, and that is, while we are, as an idea, America is an idea, America is also a country। As an idea, we're the best in human history। Mm-hmm. As a reality, we suffer some of the same problems of every other country, mm-hmm. which means that we have people who have racism in them। After all, we used to have slavery।
Exactly।
But we did elect a black man as president of the United States, so it shows that we have really overcome the hardest of all jobs। Absolutely। But there's still work to be done। Mm-hmm. Just yesterday, the FBI director, Jim Comey, who's an absolutely fabulous human being, he's a great protector of the Constitution। He's, by the way, a predecessor of Preet Bharara।
Oh gosh,
okay?
Look at that।
He used to be, in fact, when Jim Comey was appointed U.S. Attorney mm-hmm. for the Southern District, I said to him, wow, what a great to have a real lawyer। Of course, Preet Bharara has done that and more। I'm so proud of Preet, or as his parents know him as Pretinder। But anyway, but Jim Comey just yesterday gave a speech about how we all have racism in us, mm-hmm. and the overt racism the obvious racism we can address.
Yeah.
But then there is hidden racism in our soul, which we're not even aware of.
Exactly.
And that's the latent discrimination, the latent bias. And he was addressing that. So that's the level of how America is great, because we're now attacking the invisible subconscious.
Subconscious, exactly.
So to have a leader, a director of the FBI, who is not subject to any political pressure because he has a 10-year term, okay? So he goes from one administration to the next
another.
And can arrest whoever they want to arrest with probable cause, which of course did not exist for Suresh Bhai Patel. So when that caller made that 911 call, the emergency call to the police, they didn't say the guy's committing a crime. He didn't. They're breaking into a house or breaking into a car. Nothing.
Suspicious activity.
He says, I'm not sure. There's a skinny black guy. Whatever. Of course, black.
Obviously, we heard
in America
that,
still has problems. Okay?
Yes.
And something we need to address, and something we're ashamed of, that we have this problem. But so that particular call to the police department was not specific to Suresh Bhai Patel. That's very critical, because therefore in the eyes of the law, it didn't cover him.
Yeah.
So when the police showed up,
they automatically assumed.
That's right. And when you assume without probable cause or reasonable suspicion, you're guilty of having violated Suresh Bhai Patel's constitutional rights. Of course, what happened next, and there's something strange in the conversation that occurred.
Yes.
One of the best things I've ever heard was Suresh Bhai Patel is supposed to have said, no English, meaning I don't speak English. And then he says Indian. And then he gives his son's house number. Now, he used the word Indian almost as a passport that I'm a peace-loving human being. Now, this is a very important issue, because, our Sikh Americans, for example, or visitors that come here who wear a turban, we don't want them confused with terrorists.
Absolutely.
So this is an educational issue. So, and as everybody knows, the birth of Sikhism, and without Guru Gobind Singh, who's my favorite hero, out of the Sikh community, Guru Nanak is way too smart for me. So Guru Gobind Singh, I understand.
Okay.
He was a fighter, I fight. This is good. But what they said was, they don't fight offensive wars; they fight defensive wars. They protect.
Absolutely.
Very important.
Yeah.
So being a Sikh should be a sign of pride and respect in society.
It is.
Similarly, being Indian should mean you're a law-abiding, peaceful human being.
Absolutely.
And that's what this guy was saying in the word, I'm Indian. Okay?
Because they did, by the way, if you take a look at that video, they said something about, they did use the word black. Are you black? He said Indian.
Right.
They did use the word. So I'm like, you know what?
Not that there's anything wrong with being black.
Exactly. But I'm like, you know what? But the way the police officers came, they got a call, there's a suspicious black man, suspicious activity. Their mind frame was already set that we're going to go catch a suspicious black man.
Okay, but here's the point. Police officers get training about what the law is, because they're law enforcement. They're enforcing the law.
The law.
So there are lawyers who do the teaching. There are police chiefs who make sure that their troops follow the rules, right? Because what is law? It's rules.
Yeah.
So it's obvious to me that the police department of Madison, the city of Madison in Alabama, has a policy and practice of racism, and they violate the Constitution of the United States. And if Alabama, and I'm sure Alabama has a state constitution, and if it's anything like New York, of course we happen to be much further in the 50 states. But because Alabama, of course, is where the movie Selma comes out of, and the racism that Martin Luther King fought about. So Alabama has a very bad history, but they've done a great job of trying to get over their bad history of racism. So the fact that this should happen in Madison is really very disturbing. But what's happening here is when the police show up and the man says, and they stop a guy who's walking on the sidewalk.
Exactly.
He's not doing it, he's not committing a crime.
And there was nothing.
They have witnessed nothing.
Yep.
They have witnessed they have witnessed nothing criminal. The Constitution of the United States does not even allow them to stop him.
He's just
All they can say is, can we talk to you?
And they can walk with him, and they can keep talking to him.
And by the way, and the guy can say, I don't want to talk to you, and keep walking.
And keep walking.
Because
but the guy kept,
he didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly.
Okay?
So that's where I'm not, where I see this also is that, you know what, he didn't look aggressive, okay? He didn't do anything to, show that
Indians
he's
generally are not
violent.
aggressive.
I
mean, unlike me, because I can be very aggressive.
एक और issue हैगा जिसदे बारे में आके गल करांगी कि maybe we're just a bit too dormant at times. But you know what?
Meek and timid. Which
Here.
is not a good thing.
I'll go back to that one. I'll go back to that one. But you know what? At the same time, just the way this whole thing is handled, the way he slammed him to the ground and then asking him to get up. We saw, it was just excessive force. You can't get over. You know what?
Yes.
Why don't we show the video to everyone?
Sure.
Take a look at this video and you tell us at what point, tanu kehdi point te lagda हैगा कि सुरेश भाई पटेल aggressive सीगे या किसी ਨੂੰ ਮਾਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ या he is doing something wrong. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪੇ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਦੇਖੋ.
AMS maybe?
I don't know. He don't speak a lick of English.
Trying to pat him down because he keeps trying to walk away from him.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ now hold that picture in your mind ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਅੰਦਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਕਰੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਛੋਟਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਆਨੇ ਆ ਔਰ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਰਵੀ I want to talk about ਕਿ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੀਗਲ ਹੁਣ repercussions ਹੈਗੇ how we go about that ਕਿ an Indian community how they are reacting to it ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਵਾਪਸ ਆਨੇ ਆ stay tuned Break to baad ਤੁਹਾਡਾ swagat hai. We continue with our talk today with attorney Ravi Batra and we're talking about Suresh Bhai Patel ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹਾਦਸਾ ਹੋਇਆ Alabama ਵਿੱਚ. Now ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ break ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ. Okay? Now when we look at this video obviously as not just ਚਾਹੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ Indian ਹੋ ਜਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ community ਦੇ ਹੋ ਇਹ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਨਾ you feel like oh my god like how could you do this ਔਰ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਖੜਾ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ the man
Yes. He's quadriplegic already.
He's exactly.
Yeah.
He's already done. So now let's come to the legal standpoint of this. Okay, pehli gal te the way they touched him, the way they threw him down, the way the police department is no handle kar rahi si. Unhone I think 6 din lagaye 7 din lagaye evidence release karan de lai attorneys knew. Okay. Let's talk about that a little and then I also want to tell me your thoughts on that first Ravi.
Okay.
Legal standpoint though.
Well, one, let me just go back and say at the time of the police confrontation, there was no reason, as I said, it was an illegal stop. It was unconstitutional. And when the police officer, in presence of his senior police officer, he took Suresh Bhai and threw him to the ground, snapped him.
Yeah.
He didn't
Exactly.
throw him.
He snapped
him. You'll need a forensic physics fellow to come in and tell you the amount of force. When they snapped him, they didn't put him to the ground. They threw him to the ground, snapped him, right? His neck, his head hit the ground, frozen ground, because it's winter time.
Exactly.
The lawn is not soft. It's hard. It's hard as a rock. They snapped his neck and broke his neck. It was like a Raggedy Ann. You're watching a Raggedy Ann doll being like whipped.
Yeah,
whipped
the
to
way
ground.
he took it, it's
Yes,
like...
because he's a light little guy.
Yeah.
Obviously the police were not in any fear of their security, that this guy's going to assault them or kill them or something. So there was no right to even
do
look
that.
into his pockets.
Yeah.
They had no right to stop him or to pat him down. There was no stop
There are
and frisk
many
allowed.
red flags on this one. Is
So
that they-
the complete event is illegal. Okay, so that's clear. Then, because the police officers know the cameras are rolling in the cars and they have live microphones.
Now they do, yes.
Okay, so they had it. They realized they screwed up. So now they start brushing his. If you look carefully at the video, they're brushing his shoulders to wipe off some dirt or
Grass
some
or
grass
something,
or
yeah.
something off his
Oh, man, they
shoulders.
care.
All of a sudden, they want to make him look pretty.
Exactly.
Okay, after they broke his neck. All right. They're aware of what's going on, and they're saying, "Why won't you move, or why won't you talk, or whatever?" Okay. Now all of a sudden there's a concern. They're showing concern when there isn't one. This is now Hollywood. They're already acting. They already know what happened. They know they're screwed up. They know they're in trouble. And now they go into acting school. Okay? So that's the confrontation. Move forward. A lawsuit's been filed.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's another thing I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah.
That I see that you have the copy of it. So you've reviewed, obviously you've reviewed this.
I even spoke to the lawyer.
Okay.
Because yesterday on Arnab's show, I was being forced. You know, Arnab says do something, right?
Yeah.
I said I'm willing to do something. You know, I said, Hank, I'm happy to help you. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was keeping my word. I called him this morning, and he was busy doing some Skype or something. I said, you know what Madison is doing, City of Madison? They're checkmating your lawsuit. Okay. And I said I can help you, and so we're supposed to talk later. But I've reviewed the lawsuit.
Tell me what you think of it.
Well, it is as anemic as Suresh Bhai Patel. So it needs to muscle up.
Okay.
And what the police chief did yesterday is checkmate Suresh Bhai a second time by checkmating his lawsuit, because by firing that guy and saying, and this is the words he used, quote, didn't meet the high standards of the department, end quote. You know what that means? The department is not liable for him.
But that's it. You know what? But here's my thing, right? As an attorney, अगर तुसी उसके attorney होंदे, सुरेश भाई attorney दे, और तानु पता है कि पुलिस उसको fire कर रही है, would you not intervene right there and then?
I don't want this guy fired.
Exactly.
I want him retrained. I want the police chief fired because he's running a racist police department.
तानु नहीं पता उन्हां दे department अंदर होर किन्ने इस तरह दे लोग हैं?
Yes. So it's the policy and practice. You see, when you see a younger police officer snap Suresh Bhai Patel like a Raggedy Ann doll and throw him to the ground, right? The other cop didn't say to him, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Nothing. This is usual, business as usual. So that's the policy and practice. Without the policy and practice, you can't hold the city of liable under federal civil rights violation.
So then here's my question, right?
You know, we did the Kritika Biswas case. The legal issues were identical. Okay? The city moved, first of all, we got the criminal charges dropped. Of course, Suresh Bhai had no criminal charges, which makes him the perfect representative of a peaceful Indian.
Yeah.
Because there's no criminal charges
Nothing
against
him.
Okay? So if a perfect Indian cannot be treated properly, then we have a problem. Yeah. And so we have a problem either as an Indian or as an Indian American or as an American.
You know what? I'm glad you said that, okay? You have a problem as an Indian. Okay? मैं ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੁੱਛਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਐਰਿਕ ਗਾਰਨਰ ਦਾ ਕੇਸ ਦੇਖੀਏ ਅਸੀਂ, ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਰਗੂਸਨ ਮਿਜ਼ੋਰੀ ਅੰਦਰ ਮਾਈਕਲ ਬਰਾਊਨ ਦਾ ਕੇਸ ਦੇਖੀਏ, you look at these cases, the minute it happened, an innocent person ਨੂੰ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਟ੍ਰੀਟਮੈਂਟ ਹੋਈ, the community around the country, ਉਸ state ਅੰਦਰ ਨਹੀਂ, city ਅੰਦਰ ਨਹੀਂ, ਪੂਰੀ country ਅੰਦਰ, the African American and the Latino community came out together to support.
Sure.
Well, ਇਸ ਕੇਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ besides the media, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਸੁਣੀ ਹੈ?
Nay, and that's why yesterday I said, and somebody was slamming me on social media, I said the Indian American community has not matured yet. Yeah. They're still looking for pictures with politicians.
Thank you.
Okay?
That's exactly what I want to know. Because you know what? We're great at business. We've made great leeway in politics. We've done our name in every business aspect where we can make money, we can. But now I feel like as a community, what happened? Why are we not standing up for this?
You know, the truth is I can help Chirag, the son, Suresh Bhai Patel's son. I can help arrange all that. But I have to be invited. As a lawyer, lawyers are under the same rules, believe it or not, as prostitutes.
Obviously, jo Suresh Bhai Patel de naal hoya hega, it's sad. Shouldn't happen to any individual.
But you said about the Indian American community. Let me just go back to that.
I want to come to you. You know, looking at, especially at a case like this, ਉਹੀ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ, ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੇਸ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਸੀ. Especially ਅਗਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ. Indian American community should wake up and realize, you know what? This could have been your father, your grandfather.
So here's my question. Let me ask you a question back.
Go right ahead.
Okay? When somebody who's not Indian or Indian American, because Suresh Bhai is actually an Indian citizen with a green card in the United States, so he's not a U.S. citizen. Okay? But he would still be an Indian American to some part, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But still the government of India, and he's still a citizen of India. Okay. But if a bad thing happens in society, in the United States, how many Indian Americans raise their voice and say, you should not have treated that black man this way?
Yeah.
Now, if Indian Americans don't march when there is racism against a black man or racism against a white man, because sometimes you can have, a minority doing reverse racism.
Kadi honda,
Okay?
yes.
It happens, right?
Hanji.
Because keep in mind, and I've said this, I'm trying to tell people, while we all suffer from racism, unless we look into our own soul to protect ourselves, but we should not think all cops are bad, because most of them are not.
Exactly,
Most of them are good. Brian Murphy, Lieutenant Brian Murphy,
In
took
Oak Creek,
9 bullets
Wisconsin case, Hanji.
in Oak Creek Gurdwara to protect the Gurdwara.
Hanji.
So how can anybody say white cops are
bad?
bad?
You're right.
Are you crazy?
Yeah,
we
they're all
have
good.
heroes here.
Yes.
Cops are heroes.
There are always
They're
totally
role
bad
models,
apples
but there's
in
some
every
bad
basket.
apples. So I love cops. Nobody's going to tell me, oh, if I see a white cop, it's bad. Excuse me, he's my protector. This is why I can walk the streets of New York or America freely, because of good policing.
Exactly.
But every now and then we get a nut, we get a crazy man, okay? And the question of any organization, any corporation, is like human resources. If the CEO doesn't know how to manage their workforce, then the shareholders need to fire the CEO. Here, the mayor, who's the boss of the police chief of Larry Muncie, got to fire him because he's running a racist police organization. So Indian Americans need to stand up and speak when they see somebody else being discriminated
Absolutely.
against, before they get the right to ask others to join them. Okay? So that's one thing that's deficient. Second, within the Indian American community, when they stand up to fight, they don't know how to fight. For example, a few years ago, then Consul General of India, Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, called me and asked me for help.
Okay.
He says there was a boy in
New Jersey, case, 100.
who was burning in a car crash. The car was on fire after hitting a tree. There were 3 boys in the car, 3 students, Indian students. One died on impact. The other got out. The third one was stuck in this mangled car, couldn't open the door. The police show up, and the police officer was overheard saying, "I'm not going to risk my life trying to save an Indian boy." And he allowed this Indian boy to burn to death.
Yes.
Now compare this to the Jordanian pilot, where ISIS burned this guy to death, and Jordan declared war on
on them.
ISIS. Okay? Hats off to King Abdullah of Jordan. You have to value your own life.
Yeah.
Okay? The Indian community in New Jersey, some of them went with placards. What does this mean? Placards have a role, but when you interact with law, you got to know what you're doing. When you interact with politicians, you have to know the law, that they have certain powers and they don't have certain powers. So if you don't know what they can do, and you don't ask them to do what they can do, you don't get it. And guess what? Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
So when I was approached, I said, I'm happy to help. The parents from India came, and they said to Ambassador Prabhu Dayal, no, we don't want to fight. So this problem of Indians not standing up, how do you get a full measure of justice if you don't stand up?
I know we're running out of time, but I just wish the next generation, okay, I had a chance to speak with some students yesterday, you could see the fire in them, but at the same time, agar wo khade bhi honde hege awaaz uthande lai, the older people, the parents or the older generation, na karo. Police de naal panga na lo. It's like, you know what?
Silly.
But yeah, you
Silly.
need to stand up to fight for your rights. Look.
Suresh Bhai is the perfect symbol of a peaceful, law-abiding Indian citizen and Indian American. So if our community cannot get behind him, they frankly need to put their head under shame, go under the blanket, and never please get out of bed. Okay? It's a matter of shame.
It is.
And and raising a few dollars here and there, that's not what this is about.
Yeah.
You got to. We have to retrain.
Yeah.
It's like I want everyone who sees a Sardar to give him respect.
Exactly.
Not worry he's a terrorist. But if the job, after Oak Creek happened, I want you to know, within a week, I organized a rally on City Hall steps of New York in front of the mayor's City Hall, and we held a rally in support of American Sikhs. I had members of Congress come, and before we finished, I had a young Sardar boy given by the Richmond Gurdwara, and we tied his turban in front of all the reporters just to show this is a young boy and this turban is not a terrorist turban, okay? It's an educational thing.
Yep.
You got to do this. If we don't stand up for what's right, then right becomes wrong, and if we don't educate, we continue to get more injuries.
Well, I hope this case will change things for the future, for the betterment of people, not just Indians, but for minorities as well. Us de naal hi main of course tanu thank you कहना चाहनी हां कि तुसी आए and you shared your thoughts with us, and hopefully, you know what, people will take more from this.
Keep up the good work. And
we keep trying.
Just get people to stand up.
Absolutely.
Okay.
तुसी आप ही सुन रहे हो सारे. This is the time. I think ਇਹ ਹੁਣ ਮੌਕਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ Indians ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ minority group ਹੈਗੇ ਇਸ ਲਈ ਨਹੀਂ. Even if you're a small minority group, all it takes is the voice to stand together. ਤਾਂ I hope ਕਿ ਇਸ incident ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡੀ community ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਉਠਾਏਗੀ to let them know ਕਿ ਜੋ ਹੋਇਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ community ਨਾਲ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੇਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, and it shouldn't repeat itself again. We speak our voices in many other platforms. I think this is a platform that's much needed for our future generations.
I just want to add one more thing. I think Indian Americans can do a great service by making America better by standing up.
There you go. So with that note, we thank you all for watching our show. Mainu ijazat do. Sat Sri Akal.